Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and today we're checking out the Jack Wolf Knives Gunslinger. Now, I know there's been a ton of reviews on this thing, so instead of doing a full review, I'm going to break down the 5 reasons why I think it's the best Jack Wolf yet, and why I think it's also going to be the most popular and probably sell the most. And then we're also going to talk about a couple negatives that I do have on this model. So starting it off, number 1, the first reason, locking knives are better than slip joints. I mean, maybe that's just my opinion, but obviously you can be a little bit harder on locking knives. You can put pressure on the spine when doing utility cuts. When you're pushing through something, you know, when you put a little pressure on the spine of the blade, when you come out of the cut, you don't have to worry about it folding on you. So there's just a lot more benefits, in my opinion, to a locking knife, even if it is somewhat of a gentleman's knife, which I did say that this was the #1 gent knife I seen at Blade Show. Now, I saw a couple other really good ones. I want to be clear, like the TR Comet, things like that, but this one is definitely a really good one, and locking knives are always better than slip joints. Also, just looking at this, I can see all the possibilities from different blade shapes, possibly different bolster locks, and man, lots of potential, man. I would absolutely love to see a Wardenclyffe or Spear Point on this platform. Number 2 is the cutting performance. Now, all Jack Wolf knives cut really well because they're so thin behind the edge. This one's about 5-6 thousandths behind the edge. Insane cutting geometry. But because it's a locking knife, because of the girth and thickness and width of the handle, it's very comfortable in hand. Very, very comfortable in the hand. So when you're passing through materials, because of the blade geometry, the ergonomics, this thing passes through stuff like a dream. Then, because it's locking, you can put pressure on the spine, do utility cuts, you can cut straps really good. You know, just all the little things I personally look for in a knife, this thing just excels in as far as cutting performance goes. And just to add a little something to this, the sharpening on this S90V super deep hollow grind, being so thin, it sharpens up so fast. I haven't even done a full sharpening on it, but I've honed it a couple times, and it hones back so easily. This is a knife, I could sharpen this and reprofile this faster, being S90V, than I can 99% of 440C knives or 8CR, 9CR knives, because it's so thin. You know, it's just, there's not much material you have to remove, even for a high carbide, high wear resistant steel that's gonna hold an edge for a long time. This is gonna sharpen up extremely fast, extremely fast, like faster than you could ever imagine. Now, honing it, you know, because it's so thin, it's very easy to hone. And, you know, the optimal stones to use for honing this would probably be like some sort of resin bonded diamond stone, something like that. It's a very high grit, but you could totally get by with a ceramic, you know, and I have honed this on a ceramic and then stropped it, and then I've also honed it on my high grit VENEV stones. So yeah, the sharpening is an ease. It's such an easy sharpening, such an easy thing to hone back, and like I said, you can bring back this edge over and over and over and over because it's so thin. Number 3, the acoustics. The acoustics are so good. I love the way this thing sounds. I think it has something to do with the hollow grind. I bet if this was a flat grind, it wouldn't be as good. But because it's a nice, deep hollow grind, you almost hear the vibrations going out to the tip. It might not come over the mic. Then number 4 is the ease of carry. Now, because the new Jack Wolf knives has a clip, you can easily carry it in the pocket. Now, also, you have options, which is really cool. So not only can you carry it on a clip, but you can also remove the clip, put a filler tab in there. You just have to take the scale off, take off the clip from the inside, and then put the filler tab in there, and then you can carry it in a slip. if that's your deal, if that's what you like, personally, I like the clip. But I know a lot of people love slips, and I do too. Don't get me wrong, I love slips too. I have many of them. I even have a couple coming right now that I'm gonna put some of my favorite slip joints in. And I wouldn't even mind carrying this one as a slip joint. But I always prefer a clip, always, always, always. So because of the ease of carry, easy to get to, in and out of the pocket, you don't have to pull the sheath out, I gotta give it to this one. Next is number 5, which is fidget factor. The fidget factor is 10 out of 10. This thing is insane. It has such good fidget factor. You have this front flipper with very catchy jimping. This jimping, you can do the reach over, and very easily, I might say. You can do the side finger. It works really, really good. You can do the thumb. Every direction works really good. You can go from the side of your thumb, you can do the front of your thumb, you can even do the roll around, because the front flipper does slightly pop out above the scale. You'll see this, how it slightly pops out above the scale, so you can easily slow roll it. So the action is, like I said, a 10. This fuller right here, it looks minimal, but boy is it catchy. You can either put your nail right in there, or you don't even have to put your nail. You can just use your skin, because it is so catchy. They put a nice, they didn't knock down that edge a lot. They made it nice and sharp, which personally I am so happy about, because it makes it to where even left-handed, I mean, I can sit here and fidget with this thing left-handed, no problem. So very, very good on the fidget factor. Now, after we've covered the 5 reasons why I think this is the #1 Jack Wolf yet, and why I think it's going to be the most popular one yet, and I stand by that. I truly think it's going to be the most popular one of all the Jack Wolf knives yet. Now, I do look forward to other versions in the future to possibly even beat this, as far as different blade shapes go, but I do have a couple negatives. Let's talk about that. So, my negatives are, the first one is lock bar access. It could definitely be better. I wish they would have knocked this back just a little bit so that it was easy to get to from the side. I do find myself sometimes slipping off of it trying to get it. They did put a couple little chamfers on there, which, it's better than nothing. And it is relatively easy to disengage, but I do find myself kind of like wedging my hand or my thumb up in the front and kind of wedging in between and then trying to push over. So, and I'm usually not a fan of that. I prefer better access, or at least, maybe knock this back just slightly and then chamfer this edge just a little bit more and add a little texturing there. Like I said, it's not bad. 90% of the time I get it just fine and I don't slip at all. I know it's the way it is, so it's not that big of a deal, but it could be improved if, there was just more access, and it'd be a way more comfortable disengagement. And I always say that about knives, that the comfort in the disengagement really makes a knife feel even more quality than it might be. Now, that being said, is that if the knife is already good quality and you add good lock bar access where it's nice and soft, nice and comfortable to disengage, it makes it feel even more quality. Anyways, the next thing is really only like a half a negative. I'm not even gonna call it a negative. It's like a very, very little nitpick. So don't even consider it in, most cases. But when I slip the clip into my thick jeans, it gets a little tight right here. Now, 90% of the time it's fine. Slips in and out just fine, no problems. Most of my jeans are just fine, but I do have these specific pairs that have really thick pocket seams, and after it goes over, when it gets to about right here, it starts getting a little bit tight. Big deal? No, not at all, because I can still carry it. It still works. It's still just fine, but it's a little tiny nitpick. But other than those things, that's it. That's it for negatives. I absolutely love this knife. I love not only the look, the grind, the ergos, the pops of color, the different versions. I love the clip. I love the fidget factor is on, like I said, is a 10 out of 10. It's absolutely my style of jet knife, and this is exactly what I've always wanted to see from Jack Wolf. So I'm so happy about this. And like I said, I am excited for the future, because if these do well, I'm sure we're gonna see some other blade shapes and, you know, handle designs, and that's what I am looking forward to. Not that this one isn't great, but I'm usually not the biggest clip point fanboy, even though this one works great. I've been carrying it, I've been using it, and and I'm still gonna continue. So, you know, I'm very happy with it, but man, I'd love to see me a Wharncliffe or a sheep, or either a Wharncliffe sheep's foot or a spear point. Now, there you guys go. Until next time, peace.